Hey TFT, in this video you're going to see me just painting some of my scrap parchment paper that was just lying around, and while doing so it evolved into something just so beautiful where anybody can just take your scrap paintings and do something beautiful with it. So while you're watching and sticking around, I hope you're inspired. I hope you enjoyed this video with some ASMR as I enjoyed creating what I call this beautiful art book masterpiece. So my parchment paper paintings are dry and they turned out beautiful, of course. While you're painting, well, while I'm painting, I'm projecting, but because I'm all inclusive, because when we do things and while we're doing it, it just doesn't look right in the process. But once it dries and is done, it comes out beautiful. So here is this one, and how beautiful is this? Sometimes I don't even want to do anything with it, but I'm going to show you what I'm going to do temporarily to these, because they're just gorgeous. Like, could this be a cover? Absolutely. Could it just be standalone? Yes. So, how beautiful is this? Here's another one that I was just mixing paint. Seriously, it was like the paint that was left over, and at some point it just wasn't looking too good, especially when you mix those colors and it turns brown. Like, I am not a color perfectionist, so the purples and blacks and yellows, they start to look brown and yucky, but some browns do really look really good. So, but all of these came out really beautiful at the end, and so I'm loving it. Here's another one. Like, sorry, I didn't show the others. I should show the other side, because the parchment paper, the colors like show through, and it's however the paint was put down first. So, but this is the part that I like. I really like this part too, but this is the art here. So, like, just how amazing is this? It's so beautiful. Like, this could be writing space. I haven't tested it, because if you write, will it see through? Maybe, maybe not, depending on if you're using a Sharpie. I would think you would want to use a Sharpie, but I don't know. I gotta test them out. I have so many, so it's okay if we maybe ruin a few and use them as examples. Here's one I was saying about the browns, but the end result is still so beautiful. Like, how beautiful is that? The back side. It feels so good, like durable. These are just scraps, and I was just painting over the parchment paper. I use this for different things, and so this was a scrap, and I just had extra paint, and I just started painting on it, and then I add more paint. Like, it never ends. But this too is gorgeous. This was a problem child, but it still came out pretty decent. Pretty. We can use it. Those colors sometimes, your girl just be, I don't know. But I really like this contrast side, because this is really like writing space. Like, I probably would just write a note, and this will be part of the gift, whoever received this, inside of a journal. That's another one. How pretty is that? I'm just in love with the colors and how they turn out, even on this side. It's just so pretty. And then I had a really large piece of parchment paper, and I actually used this as this was under a painting I was using, and when I have leftover, I'll just like paint on the edges. And so because I had this large piece, I was like, go ahead and paint, because as you see, I folded it. I'm going to cut this in half, and so it can be the same size as these. This, same size as this. So I'll cut it in half, and I'll have extra to do things with make washi tape do something. But can we just go down, slide down the rainbow of colors. Slide down the rainbow of colors. It's so pretty. Tons of writing space, or whatever you want to do with it. So let's make what I will call like a magazine. I'm into these things where I'm starting to keep all of my paintings like collages, and then I'll just, instead of just shoving it in an envelope or some kind of protector, why don't we do something with it? So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this, with these paintings. And it's really simple that anybody can do with any of your pages or your drawings or anything you have. So first, let's get, I need some parchment paper so that I wanted to write on some sheets. And so I need to measure these out. Like, I guess it's this size. Okay, so let's do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I've cut all of my parchment papers down because I'm going to use these as like protective layers. As you can see, I want them to be like protective layers in my art book. But I'm actually going to write on some of them, like scribble, or I'm not really sure what I want to do. However, that larger piece of camera, I end up cutting. I just ripped it in half. And so I need to make sure that this is actually the same size as the rest of these. So, we're just going to cut those down. And it's really, really easy to tear. And so, you see I was using my ruler before. And I'm just using it again. Just to, you know, yep, it's kind of sliding. And it's, all you have to do is just tear. It's so easy to tear. And we're going to keep this, of course. And if not, you can always just cut it off. Okay, and we have to do one more. So that was a little more perfect. This actually looks like some pretty washi tape. So now we have all of our sheets, which are the same size. And so every sheet now, if I did a little quick flip through. Except for this one. It should have some protected. And the reason why I want to protect it on here is because I had Mod Podged each of these after I had painted them. And so when they're laying on top of each other, they'll get a little sticky. I mean, of course, it'll peel off, but this is easier if I'm making my book where I don't want any pages to stick. I just want it to freely flow. And pages like this that are ripped, yes, it gives it character, but I also don't want this to be like my first page. So I'll move things around. And then also these need to be cut off as well. So I'll have to go through just to make sure that, you know, our book is almost perfect. So, because I don't like the way those actually look, we'll just rip them. So they're just nice and neat and perfect. Just so some of these edges look somewhat decent. Looks a little better. So I have all the parchment papers in between each painting as a protectant. However, this looks too plain to me. And so what I'm going to do is take each parchment paper out and I'm going to just coffee stain it and dye it so that it gives it that old vintage look. And all you need is an old tray to really, it doesn't matter how it's peeling, of course. We wouldn't cook in this. I mean, you still can cook in it, you just have to line it with foil, but this is what I use to do a lot of my staining and coloring of all my papers. So usually I would dip this in coffee, but because it's parchment paper, it's really thinner than paper, so I'm just going to spray it. So here's some coffee. I just wanted to show a little secret while the parchment paper that I initially put in the coffee was drying, and it's almost dry. And so, however, when you have an old pan and it's like rusted, once you put coffee in it and let it sit, it gets really black. However, you can re-soak up that black coffee from the rust and get some beautiful, beautiful paper. So I wanted to show you before you see the end results, because you would have said, oh, because this was what the coffee stain would have looked like originally. It just would have been like this. However, I like to soak up every single thing that I can possibly get from the pan. And old pans like this does the job. You can get them from Goodwill, your thrift stores, wherever, or even if you have some old ones, don't throw them out. Use them for your crafts. And so I just want to soak up some of this. And I can also put some water in here if I wanted to, but I just want some of my papers to give this kind of like look and feel. Because at the end, it's going to be so beautiful. There's so much character. And vintage and old looking. And then you're like, is that black paint? Nope, it's just rust from the pan and coffee. And then now I'm gonna let these dry so we can see how it looks at the end. So while my papers were drying, I thought of an idea to have a cover for my art book. And at first I wanted to do black cardstock paper, which you see in the back. That idea didn't work. And I was like, well, I can just leave it and just let the paintings, you know, show for themselves without a cover. And I was like, no, let's do a manila folder. So this is what you see happening right now. Okay, so after playing around with this and figuring out how I want my book, I figured that I will just paint on parchment paper, freestyle paint, and then glue it to this. So I may do 2. Yes, I'm gonna do 2, where I'll paint 2 of these, and so I can have one on the outside and have one on the inside. All right, so let's get to it. So my paintings are dry and complete for the cover of my art book. And how pretty is that? These came out really pretty, but they all do. Initially, while I'm painting, I do not like them at all. And then this one, how beautiful is this? Okay, so we're gonna get into it because I'm trying to decide which one I want as the cover and what's gonna be the inside. So I'm not sure. Do I want the blue to be on the outside? So it'll look like this. And then when you open it up, it'll have this inside. Or do I want this as the outside? I can't decide. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna go with the blue. So yeah, let's just go with the blue. I need to cut this to size. And then I'll save this at some kind of washi tape. How pretty is that? I may add it inside of the art book. So I have 2 strips here, and this will be used for future projects. So. Okay, so since this is going to be my outside cover, let's start gluing this down. Okay, so everything is dry and we can start putting my art book together. So I glued this down and it's nice and dry. And so I'm going to cut this, but it's just so beautiful. So let's get to cutting so we can complete this wonderful project. Okay, so here's my book cover all cut. Okay, so I had to reseal and put some glue on some of the ends, and I will make sure it's really glued down. But how pretty is this? I also thought about making a few more and make this like a purse or a wallet. Wouldn't that be so dope? I'm gonna do it. I just have so many ideas when I'm creating that my mind just explodes in so many different directions. So I'm gonna put this to the side and let it dry while I show you my other my paper that I dyed that's complete. So my coffee stain paper is all dyed. So I originally showed you how I sprayed it with some coffee spray, and then because my pan is rusted and old, once the coffee sits in the pan, it becomes like black. So it mixes in with like the rust and the oldness of the pan. And so I had wiped all of these in there so it can really give you this texture. And like, how beautiful is this? It's just like, look at this. This is really, it really sopped up that black rust. And so I'm gonna use these as my they were my protective sheets for my paintings. And like, look at this. Looks like it's just been through something. It really has, but these are going to be in between my protective sheets. And then I figured I should just write on them because this is my art book, you know. Let's write something while you're flipping through. So I'm going to start putting my pages together. So this is what my art book will look like. And I don't care that I'm not going to cut the edges off because it doesn't have to be perfect, because this book is actually, it's like a living, working art book. So these pieces are on display, but I will also pull them out and use them if I wanted to. So to go with some junk journal or a journal or some part of my craft. So it's just so pretty. It's so pretty. My goodness, it's so pretty. Now I'm like, why didn't I make this one my outside cover? Anyway, this is the outside cover, okay? And so while I was making this, I just have so many ideas, and in the video you'll see how I was trying to figure out what I want to hold it and secure it in place. But because this is parchment painting paper, you can really just tear this off, and so I don't want these to really rip. There's some pieces that are ripped, but that was just how the paper was before I painted it. So I'm going to use stretchy jewelry cord to secure it. And then I was like, oh my goodness, if I'm going to put some stretchy cord on here, I have to bedazzle this art book. And if you don't know, my first love is jewelry. I make all my jewelry, and so I'm going to add these beads to the end, and then we're just going to put the book together. So enjoy while I do this process. Okay, so the beads are on there now, and so we're going to put this together. Oh, what I think I should do is probably make a knot. That probably would be best. Okay. So. The beads are added, and the book is like 98% done, but I just wanted to show a quick flip through. So we have this like closure. I'm holding this art book. So when we do a flip through, you can just enjoy all of the paintings. And it's just a wonderful book to like look through and admire, and it just takes you down into like what I call like a rabbit hole of art, of different colors and all the paint and just the mixture of colors. And so I'm going to, and then so here is the middle part where we can just take all of this out, put it back in, and if I want to use any one of these pieces of art paper, I can just take it out and add it to my next projects. But I thought this was just so beautiful. I'm gonna have to make tons more, but I'm not done because I want to write on these, and so it gives you that full effect of like, is this a book or is this an art book / reading inspiration book? We don't know, but we will find out in the grand reveal